Hello and welcome to Sports Opinion, the weekly sports talk show on Channel 18. That is public access TV. My name's Dirk Keller. Over here is Bud Supple. Next to me, as always, Earl the Pearl Murphy. And we've got a very special guest here today, Tom Cilek. Welcome back to Sports Opinion, Tom.
Thank you.
You've been on the show before, but it's been a while, and it's high time we had you back.
Happy to be here.
Tom's going to talk a little bit about West High football, but before we do that, before we get into high school, we're going to get into a very happy homecoming victory against Indiana last weekend. It was a picture-perfect day for football, for tailgating, everything good. And who would have thunk that we would witness a first quarter like we did? With 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter, there was no score. And by the end of the first quarter, 4.5 minutes later, it was 28-7 Iowa. That's a span of 4 minutes and 30 seconds, or give or take a few seconds.
Some beautiful runs.
Oh my goodness! Big play after big play, offense, defense, Indiana, Iowa, you name it. That was really something. Yeah. All season long we've been worried about the Hawkeye offense and when are they going to get untracked. They did. And all season long we've been worrying about the quarterback situation. When will that be settled? It did. So we don't have that. We may have to worry a little bit about our defense, but something tells me that that's going to get corrected. Indiana had a heck of a running back, Tevin Coleman, and we heard about him coming in, but boy, oh boy,
He's fast.
when he gets through the line,
It's the
he's
best we've
gone.
seen.
He had 200. Tevin Coleman. Let's see here. Forgot where I put his information. It was 200 and some yards. I know that much.
The question I have, it seemed like Coleman didn't play the last part of the game.
He didn't.
I couldn't figure out why he wasn't playing.
That's a real good question, Tom. A lot of people are asking that. When the Indiana coach was asked about it, he said they wanted to save him and not burn him out, and in essence, conceding the game to the Hawkeyes. I didn't know their quarterback had gotten hurt while I was at the game, and that was a difference maker too. And now we find out that Sudfeld, their Indiana quarterback, is out for the year. He's got a broken collarbone, and that happened on a sack sometime early in the second half, I guess. I never saw him go off the field hurt, but it's not the first time I've missed something. I'm still looking for Tevin Coleman. I could swear.
220, 230.
Yeah, it was right in there. Doggone it.
That was the Indiana back.
Here we go.
They don't count.
He had 219 yards and had touchdown runs of 83, 45, and 69 yards. That's production.
Amazing.
That's really something.
And they were well blocked, too. You gotta give the Indiana offensive line credit.
Oh, you have to. You have to. I hate to think what could have happened if their quarterback hadn't gotten hurt.
I agree. He was good.
Because the guy they brought in just couldn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
It got to the point where you knew he wasn't going to throw. He was either going to run or hand it off to someone else. And
It would have been higher. So I think Iowa would have scored more, too. Had Indiana scored, we would have been a little more
Yeah.
aggressive, I think. But I think so. I think it would have been maybe a 49-48 game. Yeah.
well,
Well, what helped is that one time he did go all the way. We come back and went all the way.
just bingo,
That
first
really
play.
helped.
Iowa scored. Now here's some stats that I think are pretty interesting. Iowa's now 5-1 and 2-0 in the conference. Indiana's 3-3 and 0-3 in the conference. Iowa scored more points in the first quarter than they had scored in any one game this season. My 13-year-old son, looked at me at the end of the first quarter and pointed that out. He's kind of like my little Rain Man
Right.
for Hawkeye statistics, but it was the most points scored by Iowa in a Big Ten game, total of 45 points, since scoring 45 against Indiana in 2011. So it's been 3 years since we scored that many points in a game. It was also the most points scored in the first quarter since scoring 28 against Ball State in 2005.
Wow.
9 years ago was the last time they scored that many points in the first quarter. It was so much fun and exciting to see those big plays. We're not used to that here. Iowa scored 4 touchdowns in a span of 3 minutes and 38 seconds against Indiana. Jake Doozy, the tight end, caught a pass for a touchdown. Cornerback Desmond King had an interception, pick 6 for a return touchdown. And wide receiver Damone Powell had a touchdown reception. And then we can't forget running back Jonathan Parker from St. Louis, who also had a rushing touchdown. Your daughter also wanted me to point out that she thought going for the touchdown on the last play of the first half on 4th down was a real gutsy move and something that we're not used to seeing. But I want to point out that we've been going for it on 4th down this year
A lot.
with frequency.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a lack of faith in our field goal kicker because he's already proven himself. But,
It's the running backs we have.
well,
You don't know who's gonna run it or who throws it.
yeah,
And we're successful,
yeah,
often.
yeah. I'm just really impressed. I don't want to get too excited. I mean, they've got to go to Maryland, someplace they've never played before. It'll be the first time that Iowa has ever played Maryland in football. And Maryland's no slouch. But, much like Indiana, they've got a stout offense, but unlike Indiana, their offense is primarily through the air, passing. They've got an outstanding receiver. But they don't have much of a running game, and they don't have much of a defense. They rank 13th in the Big Ten out of 14 schools. So
Where's Iowa ranked?
in defense, somewhere in the top half, I know that much. I haven't seen the stats since the Indiana game. That didn't help. But Iowa has been pretty stout defensively. Let's see, some more stats. Iowa scored 38 first half points. We're 4th?
3, I think.
3?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Iowa scored 38 first half points, tying the most first half points in a conference game under Kirk Ferentz. He did that against Minnesota in 2005. I think you were up there for that game.
Yeah.
I know I was. 38 first half points. We really witnessed some unusual offensive output. It was fun. It was great fun. I took my 10-year-old daughter to her first Hawkeye football game, and I picked a perfect one because there was a lot of action,
Yeah.
a lot of big plays, so she got to do the IOWA cheer
Right.
And good
numerous
weather.
times.
Good weather, really. Yeah.
Great weather. It just couldn't have been more perfect.
It was homecoming.
Yeah, big fun, great tailgate. It just doesn't get any better than what we got to do last Saturday. Now they're on the road. The game this week is going to be on ESPN2, so you can get that, and I think pretty much everybody can. You were at the games
Sure.
Saturday, yeah. So let's see here. A few more stats. Iowa scored on 3 straight offensive plays in the first quarter against Indiana. Again, tight end Jake Doozy caught a 12-yard touchdown pass with 4:41 left in the first quarter. On Iowa's very next play from scrimmage, wide receiver Damone Powell caught a 72-yard touchdown pass from Jake Rudock, and it was a thing of beauty.
Beauty it was, sure was.
And it just makes you wonder, where has that play been all season? Where's Damone Powell been? He's quite a weapon. He's fast. He's got great hands. And then on Iowa's very next play from scrimmage, that's when running back Jonathan Parker ran for his 60-yard touchdown. And that little guy can scoot.
And that was well blocked too, though.
Yep.
Yes.
But he ran to his blockers, and it was beautiful. I would love to see them repeat that against Maryland this Saturday. That's an 11 a.m. start, by the way. Against Indiana, Iowa scored 2 offensive touchdowns of 60 yards or more for the first time since 2009 against Indiana. We had said last week that the Indiana-Iowa game often dictates the outcome of the Indiana-Iowa game each year lately has dictated how the rest of the season is going to turn out.
What's our record against Indiana?
We had that last week, and it's pretty significant in favor of Iowa.
Yeah.
They played their first game against one another in 1912, I remember that. And I think it's 40-some wins for Iowa and 20-some
Yeah.
wins for Indiana. So it's really good. It's a great feeling to beat a team you should beat and beat them handily at home during homecoming. And then now we start the toughest part of the schedule. Iowa, I don't know if you can say criticize, but it's been pointed out that the schedule this year, at least at the beginning of the season, didn't look too tough. It looked pretty favorable for the Hawkeyes.
Well,
Now,
Remember, we were underdogs last week,
against Indiana?
3 points.
No.
You sure were.
No.
You wanna bet? 3 points underdog,
No way. Not at home against Indiana.
at home.
I don't think.
I think we're a 3-point favorite.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
We're underdogs this week, aren't we?
No, we're underdogs again.
Well, we do well as underdogs.
I know it,
We're a
that's what I'm
3-point
saying.
underdog.
Yeah,
What is Maryland's record? I think, I wrote that down somewhere.
3-3.
3-3?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a very explosive offense. They've got good receivers. C.J. Brown is their quarterback, but he's been hampered lately with a sore wrist. So Caleb Burrow replaced Brown in the second half of their loss to Ohio State. They lost to Ohio State 52-24. It'll be 2 weeks ago now. They had a bye week last week, and somebody mentioned, I think it was Mitch at Monday Morning Quarterback Club, that Iowa is going to play 4 straight games against teams coming off their bye week.
Right.
So we started with Indiana, Maryland. Week after that is a bye for Iowa. And then they have Northwestern at home, then on the road to Minnesota, then Wisconsin at home, and Nebraska at home to finish the season. And we know Maryland is tougher than we expected at the beginning of the year. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know much about them. And look at what Northwestern has accomplished, going out to Penn State and beating them on the road after losing to, who'd they lose to? Northern Illinois to start the season. They're starting to get it together. Minnesota, we thought was terrible this year. No passing game. Boom. What did they do? They went to Michigan and won. So the second half of the season is going to be pretty challenging. Iowa has been 5-1 before and finished the season very well. And they've been 5-1 before and lost 6 out of the final 7 games. So you never know.
What station is Iowa belong to?
This week the game is going to be on ESPN2.
Yes.
Last week it was on ESPNU, which a lot of people can't see.
But, everybody's really favoring Iowa in the rest of the way. Some of these announcers are really in favor of Iowa.
We'll see. They should beat Maryland. They're a better team than Maryland. It's a game they should win. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Are you going to the game?
No, I'll be watching ESPN2.
ESPN2.
Yep.
And Bud, you're not going either. This will be the first game you missed all year.
But
Too far.
I'd love to go.
it's too expensive.
That's right.
But it's a great trip.
$900
I think
one
people
way.
like going to Baltimore, Washington D.C. area. I've told people we're going out there. They're excited to first time there, and it's a
It's
fun
like
area.
going to Washington D.C.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of Hawkeye fans in that Washington, D.C.
Right.
area. A lot of graduates out there. I've been to College Park before, and it's a wonderful campus. It reminds me of Iowa City. It's not far at all from Washington, D.C. Maybe an hour drive, maybe, if that. Depends on traffic. But beautiful campus, beautiful area of the community around the campus. And anybody that's going will have a great time, weather provided. I don't know what the weather forecast is for them. but it's gonna be pretty decent here the rest of the week. And, you know, we're gonna need that good weather for the high school games coming up. I'd like to see the Hawkeyes come out of the gates explosive again and show some determination on offense, going downfield instead of vertical, so. Bud, where are you gonna watch the game?
I'll watch it somewhere, I'm not sure yet.
Haven't got plans yet?
No, I'll go up to cabin probably.
You have cable up there or dish?
Dish.
You do? I'll be darned. I'll be darned. Well, it should be a heck of a game.
Do you have any record of how many times we've been on the Big Ten Network?
This season,
Yeah,
once,
that's what I thought.
one time. And was that the first game of the year? Pretty sure.
Mhm.
Pretty sure. We haven't been back
That's
since.
bad.
Well, yep. A lot of it's prestige, a lot of it's expectations, a lot of it's the opponent you play. We talked about this last week. Indiana, Iowa, 11 o'clock start, and they put us on the ESPNU instead of the Big Ten Network. I don't even know if there's a game on the Big Ten
Purdue
Network.
was the same way, wasn't it? Wasn't that ESPNU? A lot of people didn't get it.
I think you're right.
I think you're right too,
Yeah, I think you're right. Again, name recognition, television sets, those kind of things dictate that stuff. And
Now, the only thing is, ESPNU, would they have more viewers than the Big Ten Network?
no, no.
Well, I know down south, you don't get the Big Ten Network.
Right, right.
And ESPNU's usually with your, like at our condo, we get it on,
Yeah. No, ESPNU is not part of the basic cable package
most places.
in most places. Now, with satellite, different story.
Yeah.
But most people don't have satellite yet. They still have cable or just over the air, and then you're never going to see ESPN games. But, yeah, it's,
But if we win over Maryland, then we become sort of a hot team.
yeah.
Northwestern is a big game here, we'd be undefeated in the Big Ten, and
Yeah.
that Minnesota-Iowa game would be a huge game because they will likely win their next two games. They could easily be 4-0.
Who do they play?
They play Illinois and Purdue,
Oh, yeah. They'll beat Illinois
and
badly.
they have Purdue at home this weekend. So,
Oh.
and then they have a bye week, so the odds are they will be undefeated in the Big Ten when we play them. That's logic, but then they have a very tough schedule at the end.
Do they?
I think they play Ohio State, they play Nebraska,
Yeah.
and maybe Wisconsin, and us. So they'll be, the last four games of a challenge, but ours
Now, who will
will
be undefeated?
Minnesota in the Big Ten, probably.
Okay.
When they face us.
They play us, yeah, their next two games are Illinois and Purdue.
Is
on-
that here or there?
Minnesota game is up there.
There. And we could be undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Sure could be.
have Maryland and we have Northwestern.
Yeah.
Those are good teams, but we could win them both, and it could be a big game. It could be a 2:30 start. Yeah,
Yeah, now the Big Ten is allowing night games in November.
yeah.
So there could be some 7 o'clock games in November, because these games, like you just said, Tom, they're gonna be pretty meaningful.
Right.
Again, given a win over Maryland on the road, which is no given. Strange things happen on the road.
Where is the championship game played? The Big Ten.
Indianapolis, I think.
I think you're right, yep.
Another thing, the Northwestern game could be an afternoon start. Again, if we can beat Maryland, we'd be undefeated because we have the bye week, and they, I looked at the schedule, there are a lot of big games that week, so they'll announce that on Monday, I think.
Yeah.
That game time, but there's a chance that game could be late, so,
I just checked before I came to do the show, and no other game times have been set after the Maryland game
Right,
for Iowa.
yeah, because we have the bye week.
Including Friday after.
Correct. That could be a
That could be
2:30 game.
changed. This is the first year it could be changed.
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's set for 11 right now, APC.
When will we know that?
Well, it depends what we do, I imagine, in our schedule.
Yeah, and what Nebraska does.
If it's up, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I think it also is going to depend on what some other teams out of the Big Ten Conference do. Because it won't be a Big Ten game. Ours is the only one on Friday after
That's right.
Thanksgiving. So I don't know if it's an SEC game that we're going up against, but you've got a lot of goofy things happening in the SEC. You know, Alabama's already lost a game. Last year's SEC West champ, Missouri, is just terrible this year.
Well, now the Saturday after ours, you got Ohio State and Michigan, right?
Right.
But for some reason, I see where one team's going to play after that,
After what?
after that weekend,
Oh, a Big Ten
a
game?
Big Ten.
After
After that.
Thanksgiving week?
And it just
Really?
runs in my mind, it's Illinois and Northwestern.
That'll be a pillow fight.
But I mean, I get a kick how they're changing everything around, you don't. Always before, it was all over then.
It's gonna be so cold by then. It's really not football weather.
You're really great to sell tickets.
My job is not to sell tickets. My job is to buy tickets, and I do, and then some. I don't think there are still tickets available for every home game for Iowa. Every home game, including Wisconsin and Nebraska.
And they still haven't filled the south section.
No? But it looked good against
Right.
Yeah, it did.
Indiana.
That's right.
The students were late in arriving.
Yeah.
We walked in and went, oh, no. You know, the student section was virtually empty.
What was it?
I didn't see a attendance figure for,
Almost
Six-
69,000, 68,
Oh, I
saw
7,
that
yeah,
too.
close to 69,000, which is,
Yeah.
it looked full.
Yeah.
It looked packed.
69,000, I think.
The only people I saw leave early were the Indiana fans, and there weren't many of them either.
No, that surprised me too.
Well, they're terrible. They're
Oh,
just
I
not
can't
very
say
good.
that.
They know the basketball, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Couple more stats here. Mark Weissman now has 2,139 career rushing yards for the Hawkeyes, which is the 11th most in program history. He also has 24 career rushing touchdowns for Iowa, which ties him for 4th most in the history of the Hawkeye program.
We're halfway through our program.
This program?
Yeah, halfway through.
No,
I mean,
through the season.
No, it's
Yeah.
the season.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. They played 6 games now, and they'll have a total of 13 regular season games. Mark Weissman just continues to ground and pound. When they need him,
one stretch in
he's
his
there.
career that he didn't run like he is running again.
Yeah, I think he was banged up,
Yeah.
and this year he appears to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm waiting to see is one of our other running backs step up and break some big runs, because that's really not Mark Weissman's game to break the big one. But he had a couple of nice runs against Indiana.
Yes.
And then the
They were
big,
third down runs.
yeah, that's his specialty. Somebody this week said, don't be surprised if Mark Weissman's playing in the NFL next year, because NFL teams need the bruising fullbacks who can get that third and short yardage. It's critical in pro football.
I think Kirk mentioned that in the press conference.
Did he?
They asked a question, he said he thought that there's a place to perform somewhere next year.
I gotta believe it.
Yeah.
He's so
great on
strong.
that third down.
He's hard to bring down.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
I just love it when he moves that line of scrimmage and the referee doesn't blow the whistle, because he's still churning his legs and nobody stopped him. Guys like that don't come around too often, and we've been pretty blessed with his presence. Jake Rudock, as I mentioned, cemented his starting role with his performance. He now has 3,391 career passing yards.
Yeah,
That is the 10th highest in school history. He's still got another season and a half left. He has 25 career touchdown passes, which is 9th in the record books.
You're a kid.
No. I thought the same thing. Wow. You know, he's midway through his junior
Yeah,
year.
he's got a lot of ways to go. What's
Yeah.
the highest?
Chuck Long has them all. I don't know.
100?
100?
Who knows?
I don't think so. He's got 25 career touchdown passes. I would guess the record is 50. You know, Chuck
Beat
Long.
that.
I think he has a great chance to
Yeah, I
do that.
know. He's got all next year.
And still this half of the season. He's just got to stay healthy. That's the big thing. I mentioned Tevin Coleman, 219 yards and 3 huge touchdown runs, the shortest being 45 yards. Let's see, Indiana, Maryland. Maryland is completing 59% of their passes. That's their game. They've got 12 touchdowns in the air and 8 interceptions. So,
You know, we haven't mentioned the interceptions that we got were fantastic. Kings was a beauty.
he really suckered that quarterback.
Yes.
He deked him. He made him think that
We've
he
had
was,
several, I'm like Murph, several interceptions that I didn't think we had last year. Sitting there at Purdue, we had, what, 2 or 3?
Yep. It was really, it was
was a
just so
fantastic
explosive.
game.
Great game.
Oh,
Big
yeah.
game.
We had a great time being there, and I'm guessing most of the people here watching our show were either at the game or watching the game, and or else why would you be watching Sports Opinion? It was just so much fun to be there, and I hope they can repeat that performance this week at Maryland. So, we had some pretty big high school games last week. West High, who is now 4-3 and 2-0 in the district, won again, defeating a very good Dubuque Hempstead team, who is now 5-2 and 1-1 in the district. That was their first district loss. That game was on the road, and West High won 31-14. I think they're finding their gear. And this Friday, they are going to be hosting Davenport North. I couldn't find any information on Davenport North, so we're going to talk.
I think they're beatable.
Well, I think so too.
Yeah, I do too.
City High won their second game in a row. They are now 2-5 and 2-1 in the district. They won by defeating a very feisty Burlington team on the road, 38-24. And unfortunately, they're going to host number 1 ranked Cedar Rapids, Washington this Friday night. So get out there and support the Little Hawks.
See, they're in a district that they could have a losing season and go to the
Oh, yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Happens every year to somebody. So, yeah, they're going to have their,
You have to find that district, though.
yeah.
You may have a district like Washington, they're in a tough district. So a team that finishes third in that district may not, and have a winning
Are
season,
you
may not
talking
go to the
which
playoffs.
Washington, or-
Cedar Rapids, Washington.
Cedar Rapids,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's going to, City High's got their work cut out for them
I
Friday
think
night.
they're coming along, though.
I hope so.
Who's gonna win the game between Regina and,
Well, that's a good question. That's the big game of the week. It's Friday night in Cedar Rapids.
does Tom know this?
6-1 Regina is going to play against, for the first time, they're going to play Cedar Rapids Xavier, who is a 3A team. They just moved down from 4A to 3A. And did Xavier? Yeah, Xavier played last week. They lost to.
No, not last week.
Oh, they didn't.
They won. But the week
The
before.
week before, they got beat by Western Dubuque.
So they're beatable,
They're very beatable.
but they're awful strong. They're awful strong.
That was Xavier's second loss of the season.
Yeah, they played, they got beat by Dowling pretty bad.
That's right. That's right. That game is going to be on Channel 109, the KCRG substation. They're going to carry the Regina Xavier game
And
live.
Also, what's our cable company?
MediaCon.
Mediacom's done it.
Connections 22?
Yeah.
Oh, Channel 22 is
Yeah,
going to have
that
it.
was announced last night. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But I don't think they're live, are they? Aren't they more?
Connections?
I don't know.
They do a lot of replays
Yeah, they're
throughout
out
the
of
week.
replay, so I don't know if they're live, but it's definitely gonna be on there.
Are you going to the Xavier
yeah.
game?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't decided yet, but we'll see.
But it's gonna be, if he pulls that off, then he'll be one of the toughest teams that he's played all the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, they took care of Solon by 17 points, I think,
Last year?
this year.
Oh, Xavier did.
Yeah,
Shut him out. Shut out Solon.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got a tough team you're playing.
Yeah. It's going to be, and it's at their place. Their
Yes.
fans are going to be
Yeah, I
out
wish
there.
it was at our place, yeah.
That would be fun. Maybe next year, huh?
Yeah, they will be.
Will it?
I said that somewhere along the line, we're gonna play Walter Dubuque, Xavier.
Assumption.
Well, Assumption don't wanna do it.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're not, they're really losing students
Oh, are
over in
they?
Davenport, yeah, they're down to, they may be dropping to 1A, they're 2A now,
Really?
yeah. They're really having a hard time over
I didn't realize that. Huh.
there. Money,
Well, it costs a lot of money to go to private Catholic school. We all know that. Well, Tom Cilek is our designated hitter for West High football.
Well, I'm not an expert, I've been to a game or two. The coach is
You're an old quarterback.
Garrett Hart.
What do you mean?
I'm
you're-
a City High guy though, so I went to City High.
See, it's nice to be ambidextrous
That's
like
right.
that.
I'm so old, there wasn't a West High School. That's
Yeah.
the story there. But Garrett Hartwig is the coach at West High. He is
First-year
English
coach?
teacher, first-year coach, and was an assistant under Brian Saucer. And of course, the interesting story, he is married to a triplet, and the triplets were a long City High family. Dave Triplet, coached here.
He's a coach at Iowa.
Yeah. And he had 5 children, all were great athletes at City High. And Emily, the youngest, married Garrett. So we have the City High, West High issue there, but the triplets have joined the Trojans at least for the games. So Emily
Nothing wrong
knows
with
all the
that.
games, and West High has had a very tough schedule. They played Washington, who was ranked 1, Bettendorf was ranked 1,
Yeah.
and West Des Moines Valley.
Valley, who was ranked 1.
And now ranked 4. So 1, 2, and 4 are on their schedule. They lost them all.
Yep.
But they won the rest of the games. So it's interesting. I don't know. The Hempstead game was a big one. So they should win Friday night, and then they play. I think it may be Pleasant Valley, who's good, but I think they're in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
No, but the idea of City High too. I think their big game was that Prairie game. They had lost their first 5, and Prairie has a very good football team.
Yeah.
Very good. And City High got behind, and they beat them. So now Dan Sabers and that Mike Pugh and that gang out there have done a remarkable job.
With fewer numbers.
Yeah.
and they're coming.
And they have a great sophomore team. Their sophomores are undefeated.
Really?
I think their freshmen might be too. So it's just I think their senior class is smaller, I'm told.
Yeah.
But this is maybe a 1-year blip. So if you want to get City High, you better get them this year, because next year they'll be.
Well, it's been kind of a 2-year blip, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they struggled last year, again, with numbers in the
Right.
senior class, and with just the numbers of kids not going out for football.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that sophomores and freshmen are doing
And the
well.
sophomores, by the way, their quarterback is the son of Gene Taylor, who came this year as the assistant to Gary Barta. Gene was the athletic director at North Dakota State.
Yeah.
So he moved to the summer, and his son is a football player, and he went to City High, and he's their starting quarterback on the undefeated team.
Sophomore team.
Sophomore, yeah. And of course, the City High quarterback is a sophomore too, the varsity quarterback. So they've got a lot of talent at quarterback, for like the Hawks maybe.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So it'll be exciting.
Well, tell us what you know about Coach Hartwig.
I don't know, great guy, young, I don't know. Is he 32, maybe?
If that.
Yeah, if that,
He was their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Until the former head coach left.
right. And he was down in Muscatine with Brian Saucer, came up here when Brian came, and then Brian left sort of unexpectedly in a way, late May, and
Oh, that was very
looked around,
unexpected.
and Garrett told me he was not the first choice, but he was okay with that. So,
As long as you're the
That's-
last choice.
That's right.
so he got the job, he looked at the schedule and figured they might win 2 games or 3 games, but, he's won some close games, the kids have come from behind.
4 and 3 right now.
4 and 3, it's remarkable. They won a couple of games in the last few minutes. They have a quarterback that's done very well for them.
What's his name? Belial?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Belial,
yeah,
Belial.
yeah.
Who's he have left? Who do they have left?
Davenport North, who I think is not very good.
No, I
So
know.
they should win.
And then Pleasant Valley.
Valley, who is good, but West Side's played the best already. So
Right.
now I think that last game, I think they're both maybe home, so they have a chance to go 5-4, 6-3. But I think for the district, they're in the playoffs. I think so. And then once you get in, you get in.
That's right.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, they've played the best teams in the
They
largest
certainly did.
classification this year.
Yeah, they can't beat, they aren't good enough to beat Washington or Bettendorf, I don't think, but you never know. You get in the
Oh.
playoffs, one game,
Anything can happen, especially if these kids get hot, like
Yeah.
the Belial kid.
and he can throw it.
He had a heck of a game last week, and I mean, again, this was on the road at Dubuque Hempstead, who was very good. They were,
Yeah, very
Hempstead
good.
at the time was 5-1 going into that game, and
Yeah, they were good. Hempstead had lost Westside last year in the playoffs, so they were waiting for them.
that's right.
It's a road game up there. The expectation was that Hempstead would beat Westside, but
Didn't happen.
they've gotten better.
Did City High take Bettendorf right down to the,
West I did. That was West High.
West side.
Yeah,
Well, the-
Bettendorf and City
what about
played.
City High taking Ames right down to the,
And
there was one of those games that was real close.
Ames pretty much dominated City, and Bettendorf played City and dominated them.
I think Westside played an overtime game, didn't they, with Bettendorf?
Yeah.
Yes,
close.
yes,
Yeah,
and they
like
lost on a 2-point conversion in
Okay.
overtime.
Bettendorf
Yes.
went for two.
Yeah, in fact, everything I've read about that game is that West High pretty much,
Yeah, I guess
was
I
the
should-
better
yeah.
team.
Yeah, so I guess I was wrong. They actually can play with Bettendorf.
Yeah.
So
Okay, it
Bettendorf
was
is one or
Westside.
two. They have a shot, and they're getting better, so,
yeah.
who
And
knows?
City High did have a close game, Bud,
Yeah,
but it wasn't Bettendorf.
because they announced the score over at Regina and City High got really a big hand because they were either tied or went ahead.
Yeah, Bettendorf pretty much smoked them.
Then they come
Yeah.
out and smoked them.
Yeah. But again, they've won 2 in a row now, so I hope,
Oh, I think he'll be, that's one of the best coaches in the state of Iowa,
Ooh,
City High's coach.
Sabres.
Yeah.
Sabres, yeah.
Great
Dan
guy.
Sabres,
Yeah, yeah,
great
right.
guy.
Yes,
Great
yes.
guy.
Yeah,
We've had him on the show before, and he was really easy to talk to, and the parents I know whose sons have played for him really admire
Yeah.
and respect him.
He's a fake punt, yeah.
see, the thing I hate about all their stuff is the city schools dropping 7th grade football. That is bad. That-
I don't know how you justify it.
I don't either.
I mean, they're not doing it because of health reasons.
Money.
It's money. It's money. And that just hamstrings the high school programs. And, I mean, what do you get when you start playing football in 8th grade? You've never played the game. You know, the Regina kids, now they've since dropped 3rd and 4th grade tackle football. But
I agreed with that one. I was out there at some of those games, and those kids shouldn't be taking a beating like some of them did.
well, how much of a beating can a 3rd and 4th grader take?
Some kid that weighs 300 pounds over at Clear Creek.
But they have weight restrictions
Yeah,
at that
okay.
level. And my son played 5th and 6th grade, and that was a great experience for him. And again, there was always somebody, in 5th and 6th grade, they played a lot of the, mostly city junior high teams. And every once in a while, there was a kid who was out there to, prove a point, and he would end up trying to hurt somebody, but that got handled immediately. And most of the coaches at that level don't want that stuff.
No, but the 7th grade, that's hurting some of those kids. They may not ever go out.
Yeah, that's just it. I don't get it.
Can I give a plug to Iowa volleyball?
Please. We've got a great new coach.
Bond Szymanski grew up
Mhm.
in Iowa City, Iowa, and is back coaching. I'm sort of a friend of Bond, and he's trying to build the program. It's a struggle. The conference is very good, but there are some
Oh.
upcoming matches. I just wanted to mention this to the viewers. in
Yeah,
he's a great
case you
guy.
wanted to go.
Great
So they're
guy.
playing Saturday, October 18th against Northwestern, and November 5th, Indiana.
Wait a minute. So this Saturday
This Saturday,
at home,
at home. These are home
Yeah.
matches.
and what time are the matches?
Usually at 7, sometimes 7, but they're early.
At Carver
So if you have-
Hawkeye.
and if you're under 18, you're free. You just get in free. So if
Yeah.
you have kids,
How
you can
about
just
if you're
go,
older than that?
then it's $3.
Okay.
So it's pretty reasonably priced, and it's lots,
you
I went
get
to a
in.
match, lots of fun, lots of energy, and,
And the
Aren't
Big
they,
Ten Conference is the best in the nation.
Aren't they on TV this weekend?
yes, they are, I think they're on
Yeah,
TV, they're on TV tonight.
Tonight,
This
that's
is
what I
Wednesday.
thought.
So we're playing, I think, Illinois,
At Illinois?
no, it's here.
Oh, it is
And-
here.
And that game time is 8 o'clock, because the BTN picked it up, so.
Okay.
But there are games coming up, so they should just check it. It's a fun deal. If you want to go for hour and a half or hour, take your kids, it's free, lots of activity, and some of these teams aren't quite as good. We've played the big boys already, I think, or the big girls.
The big girls, yeah.
But, anyway, it's exciting, so, try to get out to one match, just want to mention that.
And so it's tonight, they have,
I think Illinois, who's
Illinois.
very good, again, top 10 team.
and that's here.
That's here,
Saturday night,
Northwest.
7 o'clock is Northwestern.
Northwestern.
And then who after that?
November 5th is a Wednesday, it's Indiana. Then that Saturday, November 8th, I think it's Purdue, and November 22 is Northwestern. I think I got those right. Those are home matches, I think. You can just check the website, but it is a fun night. Kids have a great time, and it's a fun evening. So,
Have you been to volleyball matches prior to Von Szymanski taking over?
once, a long time ago.
Yeah?
But I went to the first one, and they played in Nebraska. Great, Nebraska
One of the best.
Yeah, they're number 3 in the country. They're good. But we played well. It's just that at this point there's a talent difference.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, just want to mention this.
Well, I'm glad you did. Bond and my oldest son, Jason, grew up together doing things.
Yeah.
And I got to visit with him at a Hawkeye women's game late last season, and he's just a heck of a personality.
And they'll win eventually.
Oh, yeah.
They just get gun on the bandwagon early because they'll be winning.
Well, there's a ton of volleyball talent in the state of Iowa.
Well, right
Unfortunately,
Out of
And
West
it's all
High, it's the
call.
very best.
Yeah.
yeah,
You can't find any teams
Oh, yeah.
in West High.
yeah.
The
And
volleyball's strong.
the problem is, the best ones lately have been going to northern Iowa and Iowa State. And you just know with the kind of personality that Bond has, that he's gonna get these young girls to come here to Iowa
The
and
good young
blossom.
girls.
Yeah, yeah, the good ones, the great ones.
Tall ones.
Yeah, that helps too. I mean, yeah, you mentioned West High volleyball.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Regina and City High both have very good volleyball programs.
Well,
I think City High's ranked this year.
City High
better than
too,
West
yeah.
High, so.
Regina's not too,
They're not great, but
no,
they're competitive.
right.
Uh,
The trouble there again, they got all little girls out there. You get a team with 2 big girls
Yeah.
in high school, you're gonna be pretty good.
Now, in high school, can you play volleyball and basketball? Do the seasons
Yeah.
overlap?
Yeah, state tournament starts next week.
Oh, it does.
It's the last week of
Okay.
home games. It's up at Cedar Rapids.
Well, and next week
Now,
is
you're
the
usually late coming out because the girls will start
practicing.
practicing next week, so
Yeah.
you're a little late getting there, but yeah, they do.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to believe, but next week is the last week of the regular season for high school football.
Right?
Playoffs start
Yeah.
the following
That's
week.
something.
October 29th, I think. Playoffs start in October.
2 weeks from tonight, the playoffs start.
Yeah, right?
That's something.
I got
Wow.
one more comment.
Yes, please.
I happened to read on my website, I read the websites, of course, on
Yeah.
the internet. So
Yeah.
Anyway, ESPN announced their Big Ten football all-conference selection. This is why I mentioned this. It's, it's sort of hokey, but, it's a mid-season.
Yeah.
And so I was reading the article, and it talked about what Big Ten teams had the most players
On the,
this is Big Ten, offense, defense, okay?
Okay.
Mid-season, so the team with the most all-conference players is Michigan State. They have 5, so that's expected. Michigan has 0.
They
So you think about how many 4-star recruits they've had or 5-star in the last 4
5-stars.
years. They have no one on the All-Big Ten team. Iowa has 3, and we're tied for second. Iowa.
who are
has-
those players?
I think it's Desmond King, Brandon Scherf,
Yeah.
and Carl Davis.
Carl Davis.
So those are the 3. Then Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Penn State have 3. So we're tied for second. Maryland, Nebraska, and Ohio State have 2. Now Maryland, I like to, who do they have? They have the kicker and the kick returner. So they must have good special teams.
Yeah, they did say
So,
on ESPN.
but Ohio
on
State
sports.
only has 2, and we have 3.
Isn't that something?
So it's not perfect, but it's sort of fun to realize what really a great job Iowa's done. I guess both recruiting and developing players. Another example of the advantage Ohio State would have over us in recruiting, and we have more.
They will by the end of the
Mid-season. It's only
season.
mid-season. So anyway,
Well, they gotta stay healthy. Carl Davis got hurt, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Last week.
Yeah,
And I still haven't heard how our offensive lineman is, the one who went down the center.
Jordan Walsh.
Jordan
got
Walsh.
hurt, yeah. He's 50-50, they say.
yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, but he might be back.
Not too sure.
Well, you know who's been getting a lot of notoriety is the
Right.
fifth-year senior, former walk-on who replaced him,
5 years.
Gall, G-A-U-L,
Yeah,
Gall.
all at once.
The gall of that
He's
kid.
walked on, he's never,
He's a Dowling kid.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's right,
Was
he
what?
is.
oh, is he?
Yeah, but-
He's, and he played a good game last week. He
They
played
said
real
that
good.
he was the difference in the line play because Walsh went out on the first series in the first
Yeah.
quarter. And to get that situation addressed, they had to move Walsh was the right guard, not center.
Right.
So they had to move the center,
Blythe,
Austin?
yeah, Austin, I think.
Austin Blythe. He moved over to right guard, and then they brought Gall in. I forget Gall's first name right now. Is it
Tommy.
Tom?
Tom,
How
it's my
could-
name, I
how
can
could
remember.
you forget?
Tom. Great
Tom
name.
Gall
It's my
came in
favorite
and
name, by
played
the way.
center. Your favorite name? They had to do a lot of chess piece moving, and it worked out very well. And I guess Tommy Gall did great. He's never played any significant minutes for the Hawks in his 5 years. And he comes in because the backup center was injured. So he's number 3. And by golly, he comes in there and just lights a fire for that offensive line. And we saw the results, 45 points. I mean, just amazing. Just amazing. So congratulations to Tommy Gall. I don't know if you guys saw this, but in the locker room after a Hawkeye victory, somebody always leads the team in singing the Hawkeye fight song. And last Saturday it was Tommy Gall who was asked to come up and sing the fight song. And he talked about what an honor it was for him to do that. And I'm just tickled. It's those kind of stories, next man in stories that really epitomize the Kirk Ferentz era at Iowa.
Well, you're not gonna have too many stay out for 5 years
No,
and not play.
no. He's stuck it out, and from what we've read, he's a great kid out of Dowling.
Yep,
And Dowling hasn't produced too many Hawkeye football players.
no.
Which is kind of odd because huge school, good, if not great football program,
Right.
perennially, great football program.
Well, Tippett came from there. I mean,
Not Tippett.
no.
I don't know who else, I think there's only been one other Dowling grad who played for Iowa and had significant minutes.
His son-in-law is the coach at West.
Son-in-law, West High coach. I don't know.
Well.
I don't know, but I'll bet
I think we've
somebody's.
had a couple from down
Have
there.
we?
Yeah,
Ah,
I can't come up with the names, but
He's
I
a
think.
football coach at West. And,
Hartwig?
yeah, and his wife is.
She's a triplet,
Triplet.
but I don't think the triplets, no, they went to City High.
Well, no, his dad went to.
Dave.
Dowling. Dave.
Did he? I don't
Is
know.
Dave a Dowling guy?
Yeah, but he's old. I mean, sort of. Not as old as me.
Not as old as me.
No, but we've had a few from Dowling come here.
Okay, well, if you know who other Dowling graduates that have played for the Hawkeyes, please call Bud Supple at home tonight after midnight on his home phone. He'll appreciate that. I had a voicemail message, or maybe it was an email message from somebody who had watched our show, and we were talking about, and maybe even arguing about why Iowa doesn't get better network placement for their games this year. And somebody, sent me an email and said, it's just the stature of the programs. When you talk about Ohio State, and Michigan State, and Wisconsin.
But the only thing, we've always had the Big Ten Network. And this year, we're just shut out completely but
No,
one.
we had one game. I think it was Northern Illinois, or Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have some more before it's
I have
over.
one more plug I want to make.
We want you to make
I
it.
meant in high school football, I happen to be friends with Steph Rourke, who works at South Slope. Her son Niall is a quarterback at Clear Creek, Amana.
Oh, yeah.
And we have that briefly. They've had a heck of a season. So I want to give a shout out to Clear Creek.
Are they undefeated?
No, they lost to
One
somebody.
game.
I think they lost one game.
One game.
Yeah, but they're good.
Did they lose to Solon?
I don't know. I don't know who they
They're
lost.
really good. They're coached by Matt Hughes, speaking of former Hawkeye, and his father, who used to coach at Regina with Marv Cook. They've really got something going on this week.
Yeah.
Now, who did they beat last week?
I think Davenport Assumption 27
That's right.
to 0.
Shut them out.
Yeah.
Shut them out. Big game. Assumption's got a good team, and they're getting better. I know I looked at, they play Vinton Shellsburg this week, who's not real strong, and then they finish with Fairfield, who's got a good team. But Clear Creek Amana might be the real deal.
Oh, I think they are for
Yeah.
real. Now, they're a 2A school or 3A?
I think they're 3A now.
3A now.
But Solon's
Isn't
in a-
that something?
Solon's in a different district.
Yeah. They just smoked Assumption.
Yeah, no, Clear Creek Amana's getting better.
That's
They're
a-
good, they're getting better as they go.
That was a signature
Yeah.
victory for
Yeah.
them in that program, and I'm
Yep.
really happy.
Their coaches are wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Matt
good job.
Hughes works at Insurance Associates with Bob Saunders.
Yep.
Right around the corner from us here. And he was the pride and joy. He played for Hayden Fry. He was a linebacker for Hayden Fry, and a good one. And so, yeah, he's an insurance guy by day and then coaches football.
There's an article in
after
the
that.
Press Citizen about Matt and his father, just this week. A big
Well,
story, but his
if I
dad
could get the
coached.
Press Citizen to deliver my paper this week, it'd be really nice so I could
You missed it.
read these stories. It's really starting to tick me off.
Yeah.
I call every
Why aren't they
day.
delivering it?
Don't know. I have a feeling they have a new carrier because I've noticed my neighbor up the street, about 3 houses, they've got a bunch of newspapers this week laying in their yard, and I'm pretty sure they don't subscribe or they would have picked them up, you know?
They're probably yours.
They're probably mine. It just dawned on me last night, you know?
Walk up there and get them.
Well, I just figured it out. Well,
He could be wrong.
and I could be wrong. That's right. You never know. You never know. The neighbors could be gone for the week. And, so, yeah, of course, when I stop my subscription to the Press Citizen, when I'm out of town for a week, they still deliver them. But when I want them delivered, they don't. Oh, well. Back to Clear Creek, Amana.
Anyway,
Have you been to a game at their?
I have not been.
Stadium?
It's a lovely stadium.
That's what I hear. Have you
Asked
been?
the church out there. It's lovely out there.
Isn't it?
It's
Beautiful.
beautiful, yeah.
And to think this was a little, pipsqueak school just what seems like a few years
Yeah.
ago. At the same level as Regina.
But I think a lot of people out there really donated to it, like Solon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what these schools need. Now, I go
Big
around
contributors.
some of these smaller schools and their stadiums are just terrible.
Oh.
I mean, you sit on them, you get splinters in your rear. I mean, they're just bad.
I have to go to Kyoto tomorrow night
That'll be one.
to see my son play an 8th grade game against Kyoto Sigourney, and the school sent out directions. They said, well, you have to go to Kyoto, and then you look for the big co-op grain bins on the left-hand side of the road, and the field is right next to it.
Yeah.
And we were at a game at Durant, or was it? Yeah, Durant, a week ago, and you're watching the game go on, and here's cows right behind the end zone area where the Regina team is heading. Here's a bunch of cows just going up the hill, just
Well,
kind of
they'll go out
wandering, chasing each other
They'll
around,
go out in
having a
that
good time.
field after the game's over. But anyway, Clear Creek and Solon, as far as I'm concerned, has got 2 of the nicest stadiums
Yeah,
in the state of Iowa that's on their school grounds.
Right.
I haven't seen a game on either field, but I've seen both fields, and they're just amazing.
beautiful. And then Solon's got their baseball field and other things beautiful.
Yeah.
Now they built a soccer field. I mean, everything they got is in a round circle around there. They're just fantastic.
Well, and West High, it doesn't seem like that long ago that West High opened their new football field.
Yeah,
And that was done by the parents, if you will, contributors. And they've got a beautiful field out there now, and track.
I have 2 sons, they go to school there. One's a wrestler and one's another one,
Grandsons?
yeah. Connor and Quinn.
Mark Ryland is a longtime successful wrestling coach and former Hawkeye wrestler
Yeah.
at West High.
And,
Of course, you got Steve Bergman running the basketball program. They've got a good thing going on at West High. And,
well, and the thing that's really great over there is girls' sports.
yeah,
Can't leave them out.
girls basketball,
Sure, everything.
volleyball,
That's
track,
right.
you name it, soccer.
That's right.
Yeah, they've got a good thing going on.
Now, what's gonna hurt
Yeah,
Clear Creek too,
yep.
West High, City High, and Regina, when that
Liberty High
third
School.
school opens.
Yeah. And when is that supposed to open? Do you know?
1918, I think. It's 3 or 4 years.
2018.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 2000. I think if you're 8th grader, you may end up going there your senior year. I don't, it's 4 years away.
They're essentially going to take all kids from Coralville and Iowa City north of Interstate 80. That's
I don't know.
what
Well,
I've
I
read.
don't know either on that.
And then they're going to take, again, if you extend I-80 westward, they're going to take a lot of those kids that are currently going to Clear Creek and ship them up to North Liberty.
See, and well, another thing you got, Clear Creek has a grade school right in North Liberty.
Which one?
Well, it's the new one out there.
They've got so many new ones there, I can't keep
You may
track.
have 2. Yeah. If you're west of 965, I think you're in Clear Creek.
Right,
Yeah.
If you go
Right.
north, if you're east, you're in Iowa City.
that's how it is.
There's
Yeah.
a grade school right by the Craigings' new building out there.
They got 3 grade schools in North Liberty.
Yeah.
You got Penn, you've got, is it Borlaug? Is that one of them?
And you have Garner. I think there's
And
3
Garner.
Iowa City district schools in North Liberty.
Right.
So there's at least one, maybe there's 2 in Clear Creek and Manatee. And there's, the other town's still growing.
Well, just one in North Liberty.
Just one, okay. So, anyway, but that's,
And they still got a school in Amana,
oh yeah.
an elementary school in Amana.
I see they're having a little trouble with that.
Are they?
Well, I don't know if it's, you know, Mana's pretty far to come to high school in a Tiffin.
Yeah.
And I think they'd like to break away, which they're not gonna lose much.
Where would they go? Would they go to, what you call it?
Walker, or there's a couple small towns.
Marengo, I wonder. if
Well, that'd be a
that's-
little far
Is it
again,
still?
yeah.
Huh. Well, we've just got a few minutes here, but I wanted to briefly mention the Major League Baseball playoffs are going on. The Kansas City Royals, they've won 7 straight playoff games.
Undefeated.
I don't think it's gonna last, but we'll see. They're gonna go to the World Series, I mean, that's for
Only
sure.
one more game.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're going to go undefeated through the playoffs, through the World Series. But they're the hottest team in baseball, and that's what, you know, every year, the hottest team always wins the pennant.
And young.
Yes,
They're
very young.
really young ball players on it.
I'm not convinced their manager is that good, Ned Yost. He's former Brewers manager, and he did not do well with a lot of talent in Milwaukee. And this postseason, I think the Royals have won in spite of some of the managerial decisions that Ned Yost has made. I thought the Orioles would just smoke them.
I
They're
agree.
loaded, big home run hitters, home field advantage. Well, that's all out the window.
I went down this summer to see the Yankee fan.
Yeah,
The Yankees play the Royals, as Derek Jeter's last year.
yeah.
I thought, well, the Yankees might be good. The Yankees might get in the World Series. Well, I'm surprised. The Royals will be there. The Yankees are at home, you know. So
Did the Royals win that night?
yeah, the Royals beat them that night too. So
They beat the Cardinals 3 out of 4 games this summer.
and they had those 3 relief pitchers, the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. These guys throw
Oh,
100 miles
heat.
an hour, heat, and they were tough.
They mowed 'em
they're
down
after
last
6
night.
innings, boy. They are tough.
You got the Cardinals and the Giants, 2 very similar teams, 2 evenly matched teams. Giants are going for their 3rd World Series title in 5 years.
Wow.
They've got the advantage now. They have a 2-1 advantage over St. Louis after yesterday's win. They play tonight and tomorrow in San Francisco. They've, again, got the advantage, but you never know. With Yadier Molina out, I would think for the rest of the postseason, that really hurts. It's hard to overcome losing your most valuable player.
Cardinals are tough, but they seem to find a way.
They are resilient, and they got a lot of young guys that just don't know enough to quit.
Right.
So we'll see. But we're out of time now. We do appreciate you tuning in every Wednesday night to Sports Opinion on Channel 18. Again, that is public access TV. We'll be back next week with a new show. And you can also watch us Sunday nights at 6 p.m., again on Channel 18. You can always go to the internet and go to patv.tv and see these shows. Or you can go to my Facebook page and watch it too. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Joe Murphy for all his help behind the camera. And Tom Cilek, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being here today and informing us of all kinds of stuff that we don't normally get to hear about. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And thanks again for watching. And remember this, either you're a Hawk or you're not. Go Hawks! Beat the Terrapins. Beat the Terps.